Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji, tuangazie taarifa zingine katika awamu ya pili, na tunaanza na taarifa ya kisiasa ambapo maseneta wa upinzani katika bunge la kitaifa wameweza kuonyesha kukerwa kwao na usemi wa Mhakiki wa hesabu za serikali nchini Nancy Gathungu kwamba wafisadi wa humu nchini wanaoendeleza visa vya wizi katika taasisi za umma wawe wakiekeza nchini fedha zao. Mtazamaji, maswali yaliweza kuibuka baadaye ambapo seneta Viga George Osothi na seneta wa Homa Bay Moses Kajwang waliweza kuhoji kuwa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza imeteka nyara taasisi zinazohusiana na upambanaji wa ufisadi nchini.
We refer to recent utterances attributed to the Auditor General, Ms. Nancy Gathungu, where she asked the corrupt to steal it in Kenya, invest it in Kenya, and ask questions later. This is a grave and weird proclamation coming from the office that is constitutionally mandated to ensure public funds are prudently used and that corrupt public officers are exposed. Every Kenyan must be concerned when the watchdog declares that it is okay for hyenas to steal as long as a piece of steak is shared with the owner. Whereas we still believe that the OAG remains a honest public servant and a committed watchdog, it is baffling why she would throw in the towel and give a visa to corrupt hyenas at this time when Kenyans are suffering major economic crisis. We can only hypothesize that her frustration coincides with the ascent to power of the new regime. Since Kenya Kwanza took over State House, many of the institutions mandated to fight corruption have faced harassment and similar disillusionment. For example, the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions, that is supposed to prosecute the corrupt, has instead chosen to sanitize graft suspects. Public, whose sweat and labor fill up the consolidated fund, continue to elect the most corrupt and the least worthy to important offices of leadership. Parliament, where we are today, that is meant to oversight the use of public funds, is led by individuals who have been subject of past corruption inquiries, some of which remain unresolved and unprosecuted. The church, that should be the moral compass of this nation, has chosen money as its true north. Under these circumstances, it is tempting for the OAG to give up and turn to prayers. As a Senate, we want to call upon the OAG to remain steadfast and to resist the temptation to open the doors of the sheepfold to corrupt hyenas. Like the Oracle of Delphi, the OAG must always tell Kenyans the uncomfortable truth about thieves in our midst and those who make a living off our hard-earned taxes. Like Caesar's wife, the OAG must keep her hands clean and not join the gravy train of corruption. We cannot elevate corruption into an economic activity. No country ever succeeded by doing so. We should never glorify the corrupt and should never allow them the peace to enjoy proceeds of their crimes. Any investment that is born of corruption must be dealt with in accordance with existing laws. Despite jurisprudence and practices that have nullified Chapter 6 of the Constitution, we must work progressively towards inculcating ethos that exclude the corrupt from national leadership. If we can manage to tame corruption in Kenya, we will be able to grow other economic sectors, create job opportunities for young people, and change our embarrassing national behavior of begging for donor funds. Whether the statement by the Auditor General was made in jest or not, it should strengthen the resolve of Kenyans to hold their leaders to account.
I would understand because the OAG has given so many reports with recommendations on action that needs to be taken. But the ODPP and DCI and others have taken their time. And in fact, it is surprising that the current regime is engaged in a process to cleanse some of the people who have been involved in corruption through ensuring that the cases have been withdrawn. So it's very unfortunate. It's a demonstration that OAG, being an investigative office, is dropping the gun, which is not good for this country. maybe in the context of trying to dismantle the safe haven where the corrupt hide their money, I would support that to the extent that the safe haven, those countries where the corrupt hide their money, that must be dismantled so that that money is not leaving this country, it remains here, and the government has systems to find out who has illicit money in this country.